I'd like to call the 6:30 regular meeting to order. Annette?
Riley,
Here.
Massey,
Here.
DeYoung,
Here.
Wright,
Here.
Baker.
Here.
Item 2, the Pledge of Allegiance. How about the outgoing president? Get us started. All right. Item 3A, recognitions. Go ahead, Kathy.
Good evening. I am so excited tonight to recognize Turning Point Ranch as our community partner. And I'm joined this evening by Rachel Royston, who is the director of Turning Point Ranch, and the board president, Tara Depperschmidt. We are so happy that you guys are here tonight. In your board packet, you have a kind of a synopsis of the programs, and I'm going to read that for the public because we have this great partnership that's been ongoing for 15 years, and I just want to highlight those programs. Turning Point provides valuable services and enrichment to the children of Stillwater. The organization works to help youth facing physical, mental, emotional, or socioeconomic challenges and builds and sustains rewarding futures. Turning Point achieves this through programs like therapeutic riding, mobile miniature horse programs, including horsetails, and equine therapy. Through horsetails and with the assistance of Pi Beta Phi sorority, Turning Point brings reading excitement to our students by providing every first grader with a book, and these books are delivered to the students. They learn to read the books, and then they share the books with the horse. How exciting is that to get to learn to read? That is very, very cool. In addition to the Horsetails program, some older SPS students benefit from this community partnership. The organization provides equine therapy to several students at Lincoln Academy. These students learn that watching horses communicate is a good lesson in how people can better communicate. This program helps them translate horsemanship to leadership, teamwork, and self-control skills for their life. After completing this program, these students will be able to serve as Turning Point volunteers. And that is our newest program with them this year. And then an ongoing legacy offering this partnership is therapeutic horseback riding. For more than 15 years, Turning Point has been the vehicle for this premier service for special needs students. Most days of the year, you will find groups of SPS students participating in therapeutic horseback riding, benefiting these students with physically and emotionally needs. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And we have something for you for being our community partner to hang out at Turning Point Ranch. And then you guys can share the candy.
Yes.
And I'd like to ask Claire Whitcomb and Melissa Kiefer and Laura Gordon. They all work with Turning Point Ranch with these programs. And we are going to do a picture. And maybe right here. Okay. So.
I was hoping you'd bring Baxter Black, you know. I know he doesn't really like social functions.
Just for the photo. Nate. Mr. Gordon.
Lena, Nick, and Connor, if you guys would come to the front, please. You're in the front.
Front.
It's my honor, as Stillwater High School principal, to honor these three young people. Congratulations to Stillwater's 2022 academic all-staters, Lena Abazar, Nicholas Belden, and Connor Zamborski. These three students have been identified by the Oklahoma Foundation for Excellence as 3 of the top 100 public high school seniors in the state, selected from 397 nominations statewide. Each of this year's All-Staters will receive a $1,000 merit-based scholarship and a medallion from the OFE and will be recognized at the Foundation's 36th Annual Academic Awards celebration on May 21st at the Omni in Oklahoma City Hotel. Congratulations.
Yeah.
We don't have any awards for you, but there's a big old basket of candy out there. You dig in, okay? If you would, come over here, please. If I could have Faith, Nick, and Connor come back to the front, please. All 3 of these amazing pioneers were also identified this year as National Merit Finalists. Faith Ziegler, Nick Belden, and Connor Zamborski have been named National Merit Finalists for this school year. They advanced to the finalist stage of the 67th Annual National Merit Scholarship Program from approximately 16,000 semifinalists, representing less than 1% of the national total of graduating seniors. They are now in competition with some 7,500 National Merit finalists for scholarships worth up to $30 million. Approximately half of all finalists are anticipated to win a National Merit Scholarship and National Merit title. To become a finalist, these students submitted a detailed scholarship application, including their academic record, participation in school and community activities, demonstrated leadership abilities, employment, honors, and awards received, and an essay. National Merit Scholarship winners for 2022 will be announced in 4 nationwide news releases beginning in April and concluding in July. The scholarship recipients will join more than 362,000 other distinguished young people who have earned Merit Scholar titles. Good luck to Faith, Nick, and Connor on the next step of the competition. Congratulations. And again, no award, but a big basket of candy back there. Come on.
Look at that. Hi, perfect. Look at that. All right.
Thank
We
you,
get
Mr. Gordon.
Mr. Zamborski, Mr. Jackson, Ms. Ayers. You're up next. Whoever wants to.
Kevin's going first.
Good evening. I'd like to invite our All-State band students to please come forward at this time. These students were selected by audition, competitive audition from across the state. They advanced through 2 or 3 rounds, depending on their instrument, of auditions to be recognized as All-State band members or alternates. This group right here, plus one who's not able to be with us tonight, represents the 7th highest total of any school in the state of Oklahoma. And we're very, very proud of the hard work that they put in to achieve. Sorry, 2 that aren't. No, you're here. Hi. Sorry. Very, very proud of their achievement to reach this level. So I would like to introduce them at this time. We have Sydney Thomas, a senior on clarinet. Jackson Joyce is a junior on tenor saxophone as an alternate. Connor Sigrist is a junior on percussion as an alternate. Sorry, I should have said Sydney made the Wind Symphony on clarinet. Lena Abazar made the Wind Symphony on piccolo and is a 3-year All-State member, which is kind of a big deal. Caden Castile is a senior on clarinet in the Wind Symphony. Josh Cowan is a senior and a 3-year All-State member in the symphonic band. Ben Wald is a first alternate on contralto clarinet as a sophomore. Tristan Christie made the Wind Symphony on French horn as a sophomore. Laura Huckabee made the symphonic band on bassoon as a sophomore, and Connor Zamborski made the Wind Symphony on French horn as a senior. And we also have Campbell Bird, who wasn't able to be with us, who is a senior and, a euphonium player in the Wind Symphony. So, very proud of all their accomplishments, and congratulations.
Yeah.
Before I yield the microphone to my esteemed colleague here, I do want to say just a few other things. First of all, I would also like to recognize Lena Abazar and Connor Zamborski, who were both selected as, I have to make sure I say the name right, Oklahoma State Superintendent's Award for Fine Arts Excellence. So congratulations to both of them. And I also want to say thank you for giving us the opportunity. The band leaves in just a couple of days to go to New York. We'll be performing at Carnegie Hall. We're very excited about that opportunity. They've been working incredibly hard, and so thank you for all of your support. Along those lines, I don't know if you've seen my email, but we did find out just today that for the 6th straight year, Stillwater was recognized as a best community for music education. So.
Hello, my name is Scott Jackson. I teach the orchestra here in town, and I would like Miss Sophie Deng to come on over, if she would. Thank you, Sophie. Yes, I'll be right there. Sophie is a wonderful sophomore cellist in the orchestra. She made All-State the principal chair in the cello section, actually, this year as a sophomore. So congratulations, Sophie. Mrs. Ayers.
Good evening. I'm Dana Ayers, and I am the director of the choirs at Stillwater High School. Students, would you come on up and stand? We have 7, 6 of whom are here this evening, which ties a record for how many have been, during my tenure, have made it into the vocal all-state, the choirs. There are 2 choirs they can make it into, the mixed choir and the treble chorus. James Williams, a senior, is not here with us this evening, but he was a 2-year all-stater and was a tenor alternate this year. I'm super proud of this group. We've got a number of seniors in here that just didn't quit, that they went their sophomore year and didn't make it out of first round. They went their junior year and they made it to callbacks, the second round, basically the final round, but didn't make it into the choir, and they never gave up. They kept going and said, I want to try and do this, and here they are. So I've got a couple of 2 years over there, but I've got seniors that just wouldn't quit. And the choir, the sound that they make and the progress that they've made and the awards that they win would not happen without them. I tell them, when you're a senior, you're gold to me. Don't go anywhere. Love them so much. So we're going to start off here. We've got Katie Croft, who was a soprano. She is a junior at Stillwater High School. I'm going to go to, I'm going to skip Faith right now, but I'm going to hop over because Molly Kelly is a junior soprano, and you're going to see a number of these students are also in Footloose, which we want to invite you to this evening while we're here. Asa Thompson is a senior. He's a 2-year all-stater. He got to go last year when it was COVID. And I'm just going to tell you, all-state during COVID, Zoom, 200 students trying to sing, and then they took forever to get the videos put together. And I said, please, Asa, this is not what it's really like. Give it another shot. And he did, and I think it was worth it. Yeah. So proud of him. Asa Thompson, senior tenor at Allstate this year. Delaney France went several years in audition and made it to the next round and didn't make it in. And she was like, by golly, I'm doing it this year. Delaney France, senior soprano this year for Allstate. And then Maddie Hall. Maddie kind of did the same one. And she is my poster child for never say quit. Never say stop. Always say try. And she went and by golly, made Allstate this year. Senior Maddie Hall, so proud of her, so proud of all of these kids. Give them a round. I did. Thank you. Katie's good to keep me honest, and she went, you forgot Faith. I cannot forget Faith. Faith Siegler has had a phenomenal senior year. You've seen her up here several times. I knew she was lovely. I knew that she was talented. I knew that she was disciplined and dedicated and smart, but I really didn't know. And this year has been so awesome for her. She is also the female lead in the musical this year, Footloose. Y'all gotta come see it. It's gonna be something. These kids are awesome, and I thank them for the time and the energy and the love and the passion that they bring to the vocal music program. To this guy here for all of his support and all of his putting up with me and all of our multiple shenanigans that go on. It's an adventure every day.
Every day.
Every day. So bless you all. Thank you. Thank you for what you do and what you bring.
If you would stay there, stay. If the band and Sophie, if you guys would go up there as well, Mr. Jackson, big picture. We also have a special announcement to make that we just learned recently.
Angle your body toward the center. Angle your body toward the center.
Oh, dang, I remember how that works.
Hey. If I could have your attention. The special announcement, and these are all staters, but they represent the entire band, the entire orchestra, and the entire choir. And we found out last week that all three groups won academic state champions this year. So they had the highest GPA. That's the second time all three have won in the last 8 years, and the band and orchestra are still fighting over consecutive years. Both hold the record at 8 consecutive years. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
Well done, kids. Can't believe. Time to
If you guys don't want to sit through the rest of the meeting, we understand.
Yeah.
You're empty.
Now it's a rush for who gets the seat.
Thank you all.
What? Thank
Congrats,
you
you
so much.
guys.
Thank you.
Well done. Have fun in New York.
Congrats.
Thank you all so much. You're welcome. You bet.
Hey, good to see you.
Lots of open seats now.
Finally.
Yes. I know. I wish that's what our the focus was.
All right, we're going to continue on.
It is what it is. You need a gavel.
I do.
We do.
We're going to continue on with our meeting. Item 3B, Superintendent's report.
I just have a few things that I'd like to highlight that I've received from the different sites. All of our elementary students, grades 3 through 5 traveled to the McKnight Center for Carnegie Hall Link Up this past week. The Orchestra Swings was the title of the program. The students had the opportunity to sing, play, and dance along with the Enid Symphony Orchestra and their peers from other Stillwater Public Schools. At Westwood Elementary, the running club is now up and going. The first time since 2018-19 school year due to the construction and then due to COVID. Starting this year, they started the year with 225 students, pre-K through 5, to get back into their running club. Stillwater High School, I'm going to name several awards that they've received. Some of those were from tonight. SHA's academic team, OSSAA state runner-up, Winter Guard Blue state champions, Winter Guard Gold, 6th place. All 3 of our Stillwater High School Pioneer esports teams, that's League of Legends, Smash Ultimate, and Rocket League, are all going to the state playoffs. FCCLA Emma Zamborski was a national officer candidate. FCCLA Emily Weeder was a state runner-up in the work-ready table setting. FCCLA Landry Gunkel and Henry Ransom on being the state runners-up in hospitality. We just heard about the academic state champions from band, orchestra, and choir. The SMAC reveal, if you're interested in knowing the magic number that our students have created all these different events for their philanthropy. The reveal is scheduled for Thursday, April 28th at 2 o'clock at the Field House. And if you can always go on the website and look and just put in SMAC and it'll pull that up, but this is when we're going to find out how much money has been raised for the Stillwater Community Health Center. Last but not least, this week is from our Family Support Services. We are hosting our Dignity Drive. So if you're interested in providing different products for that drive, those are all listed on our website. So I appreciate that very much. We are going to have a change in the agenda. So I just wanted to let you know that we're going to go to
5C.
5C.
For the bond sale.
The bond sale.
Who's going to be? Okay.
It's actually Jerica.
Yeah. I was looking at her, but she was looking at me like, I don't know what you're talking about.
You can come on up. Yeah. We'll make it faster.
Sorry about that. All I'm really going to do is introduce John Wolf,
I could have done
who is our bond advisor for the school district and the expert on the issue.
Yes. We're getting our steps.
Thank you. Real quick, tonight we have a resolution in front of you to authorize the next sale of general obligation bonds that were part of your previous election in 2017. This is for $8 million. It's a 9-year term. This is going to be split between continued equipment acquisition, construction, transportation, $6.6 million for non-transportation projects and $1.4 million for transportation. You guys were provided with an offering document last week. This is the document that will go out to bidders. In your resolution, you're going to authorize the president to work with staff if there's any additional corrections to this offering document. That will be communicated between the board president and staff, and then any corrections will come back to you. That's short and sweet of this, and I'll be glad to answer any questions. This is routine matter that we have when we sell bonds. So,
any questions? This is an action item.
I move to consider and take action with respect to a resolution fixing the amount of combined purpose general obligation bond, Series 2022, to mature each year, fixing the time and place the bonds are to be sold, designating a registrar or paying agent and disclosure counsel, approving the preliminary official statement and distribution thereof, ratifying and confirming continuing disclosure policies and procedures, authorizing the clerk to give notice of said sale as required by law, and approving other matters related to the issuance of said bonds.
Second. Give it to her. It's hers.
Any discussion?
I just wanted to ask, do we need to make a friendly amendment that includes the president being able to act in the way you discussed? Does that need to be included in this motion?
Pardon me?
Do we need to include language allowing the president?
It's actually within the part
Okay,
of the resolution. It's a separate paragraph in the resolution itself.
Great.
That
Just making sure that didn't need to be stated.
Any other discussion?
DeYoung,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Massey,
Yes.
Riley.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy your
Thanks,
travel.
John. Safe travels.
Thanks.
All right. 3C, board communications. I'm going to start with Camille and work down to Marshall and then back to Tanya.
Thank you. Thank you. Since I never get to go first. This is going to be a little long, but I have thought long and hard about this. We have so many good things going on in Stillwater. Just a few of them were spotlighted earlier in this meeting. The kids up here, the kids and the schools that Gay talked about. On the other hand, one of our schools experienced great tragedy this week, and our teachers, aides, staff, administrators, and SROs are all grieving. We grieve with them. The issues regarding restrooms that many people will speak about in a few minutes are not simple, although they've been portrayed as such. That having been said, this board is listening. We are listening to our constituents. President Riley requested that our speakers all receive 3 minutes to speak rather than the 2 allowed by the previous president, who will go unnamed, because he feels strongly that everyone should be heard. We are listening to our community, those who have called, sent emails, and texts, both in support of the practices we've had for years in the schools, as well as those who are frightened and angry. We are listening to our legal experts and guidance from state agency. And for me, I have listened to my heart and to my pastor. We have been called liars, told that we need to repent, that we need to stand down, and that we are possessed by the devil, among other things. While this is not fun to hear, that's not a problem. That's why we were elected, is to take that kind of heat. What is a problem is when one of our principals is told that he is going to hell, our teachers are questioned about their beliefs, and our students are put in the position of trying to defend ideas they may or may not agree with or even understand. We have 6 weeks of school left. I would ask that any communication about the restroom issue be directed at the 5 people sitting in front of you. Let's focus on what we can all agree on: student safety. Please, please, please refrain from contacting anyone in our central office, our administrators at the sites, our teachers, our staff, and most importantly, our kids. Send emails, texts, and calls to us. Let our schools finish out and enjoy the first normal year that we have had in a very long time. I do want to give you my cell phone number, which I'm sure you're going to want. The emails are on the website for all 5 of us. My cell phone number is 405-334-8184. Done.
Thank you, Camille. I appreciate and support everything you just said. I'm going to go a little different angle. I'm going to thank all the staff and parents for a successful return to learn year. I had 5.5 weeks, so maybe you got a few more days in there. But who would have thought 2 years ago for sure, or even last year, we would be where we are today? The accomplishments of our kids with the support of the teachers and staff in the schools, and then, of course, the support of the parents in the community has been awesome. Thank you to those of you who've reached out to me both ways. There's just as many as Camille said. I appreciate the support, and I'm excited for graduation in Gallagher-Iba. So, thank you.
Yeah, you know, this week and the past month, it reminds me a little bit of being a principal in this town. You know, I would always say that I had lots of frustrated parents in my office as a principal. And I would always sit down with a parent or an advocate for a kid, and I would say, you know, I much prefer a person who is advocating and engaged over someone that is apathetic and not involved. So when I look around tonight, I feel like a lot of the same feelings I had as a principal, where there's just a lot of good people in this room. There's a lot of diversity in this room. There's a lot of diversity in our world. I think as a junior high principal, I got to know so many little kids from different faiths and different backgrounds and different regions of the world, and just all kinds of differences. And our job as educators was to make sure that they were safe and that they belonged.
And they learned.
And that they learned and succeeded. And I take that really serious. There were times that I personally maybe didn't align with a kiddo, but we would talk about that at my office, and we would make sure that they felt they could see themselves, to make sure they could see themselves as a pioneer. So I think that that's really difficult tonight. I think we've got lots of good people in this room with lots of beliefs and are passionate and want kids to do well. And I think we're all trying in our own way to make that happen. And it's not easy or clean. It's hard. These discussions are hard. But I just keep thinking, like, I think about kids specifically, just of every kid at the junior high when I was there was different in some way. They all needed something different. And I think our ability to provide unique accommodations for kids, listening to them, listening to their parents, and making sure everyone was safe. And so I think tonight I just think of two things, and the first is safety. And I just want to operationalize for everybody, like when we talk about safety, I've talked to over 120 different people on the cell, over the cell, over email, in person, at coffee. The two things are safety and everybody wants kiddos to feel good at school and belong. And so in terms of safety, just operationalizing, like we have a discipline report in our packet this week, and it shows you the efforts that are going on right now in our schools. And I know that because I used to enter those discipline incidents. So if there are things happening unsafe in our school, they are being attended to. There are 113 incidents at the high school, times where we have found bad behavior. The administrators have acted. They have worked with consequences to coach that kiddo back to the right kind of behaviors. There's 638 incidents at the junior high where we have specifically identified a bad behavior, worked on that behavior, and identified a consequence. 225 at the middle school. You can see every single incident. You can see the consequences that were administered. And I know what that looks like on the ground. That is making sure through IEPs and 504s and individual plans and accommodations and school psychologists and SPED and everybody circling the schools to make sure they're safe. So in talking to our community, safety is important, and I hear that. In terms of belonging, it's really difficult to take this many passionate people and then try to merge that and make sure everybody belongs at school. And so I think for those reasons, this issue is not complicated, it's complex. And I think for that reason, I appreciate every single conversation I had, whether we agreed or not. I think this engagement is a sign of passion and involvement, and so I can appreciate that. And I'm excited to hear more tonight.
Well, I echo and support the statements that have already made, and so I won't talk about that. I do want to express condolences to Raymond Morris's family and the administrators and the staff and the students and the SROs that worked with him. That is a tragic loss for our school system and is devastating to those families and those involved. And so on a more positive note, I would like to encourage people, if you have an interest in gardening, the FFA plant sale is happening, and that is a phenomenal way to support young students in our community, as well as a number of those students also competed in OYE, which is the largest Oklahoma Youth Expo, showing their animals that they had raised over the course of the year. And that is a tremendous amount of work and effort they put towards that. The other thing I would like to congratulate is Maggie Ruby, one of our middle school students, led the middle school golf team to win their last tournament, and she shot a 40, which is 4 over par, and that is an amazing feat for someone that age group. So congratulations to her.
Yeah, for sure. I echo all the comments that have already been made, so I'm not going to have any further comments. So we're going to move to 3D. This is public comments, and I have a little statement I need to read. At this time, we invite the public to address the board with comments and concerns. Patrons requesting to address the board during public comments should have completed Form BED-E prior to the start of this meeting. The board will not permit verbal discussion regarding any school personnel, nor discuss individuals by name or title, nor permit remarks about any such individual. In that event, discussion will automatically terminate. Board members and administrative staff may not respond to questions nor discuss issues brought up during the public comment period, since doing so could be in violation of the Open Meeting Act. The board will not vote on items discussed on the public participation section unless the item is already on the agenda. Each speaker will get 3 minutes. No PowerPoints are allowed, and conceding time to another person is also not allowed. And I would like to say that this is live streamed. At 3 minutes, the mic will be muted, and we have a lot of people talking tonight, so we need to make sure everybody has their turn. And so I guess we'll get started. First up, Preston Bobo.
This is what happens when you submit your paperwork like 3 weeks in advance. And Dr. DeYoung, I want to tell you that I know I can't concede, but I would concede because I thought that was amazing. And you can't answer me, but it was great. Thank you all for the offices you guys hold. Thank you guys for working for the school. It's great. I'm going to try to be really quick. I hope you guys have my slides that I sent out. I'm going to throw a little spanner in the works. It's going to make them make sense, I hope. I hope I'm speaking into the mic. Last year, Oklahoma signed into law House Bill 1775. And last month, the Department of Education codified the rules about enforcement. It prohibits all forms of sex stereotyping. It prohibits all school employees from causing students to feel discomfort, guilt, anguish, or any other form of psychological distress about his or her sex. Now, just apply that to this situation. Not only that, they didn't define sex in that bill. They know that to narrowly define sex, they have to. In 2016, they did, and they defined sex as the physical condition of a male or female as identified on their birth certificate. They didn't do that. Title IX does, Title VII does, Health and Human Services do, the Justice Department does, Department of Education do, et cetera, et cetera. I gave you guys more paperwork that has all those definitions. What is that definition? Biological sex, pregnancy status, sexual orientation, and gender identity. In Oklahoma, it is illegal for a public school employee to say that heterosexuality is superior to homosexuality due to this law. It is illegal to say that cisgender identities are superior to transgender identities due to this law. You have to have fully equal representation due to this law. Thank you, Oklahoma legislature. think that's all I have. Yeah, that's it. I love this law. I was prepared to speak for 2 minutes.
The next says Julia Ray, but I think it's Julie Ray, right? Are we?
Julie.
Yeah.
Julie.
Okay.
Hopefully I'm not in trouble.
Not yet.
Good evening. Thank you for recognizing our students at the beginning. Those are my children's best friends and their compadres and the people that we live with just daily, and they are just the most wonderful kids. And we have, this is off script, so I'm sorry, we have the best group of students at Stillwater, and we are proud to be here. We chose Stillwater. I told Melody this yesterday, that we haven't gone somewhere else because, it's cheaper to live in Perkins because of the opportunities that our children have here, and we are so grateful for that. But I just want to express my heart as a mom. I have 3 children who attend Stillwater Public Schools. We're pioneers through and through. We enjoy the diversity of our community. We have friends from all walks of life, and we really want what's best for all people. As a biological female, my experience as a preteen and teenager entering puberty was confusing and definitely different than my biological male counterparts. I made great efforts to hide what I was menstruating out of fear of being made fun of by boys. The restroom and the locker rooms were places where I knew there was no chance a boy would know what I was doing. When I was in high school, this wasn't planned either. I had boys that harassed me about what I looked like, and the place I knew I could go was the restroom. I in no way think that a transgender student would be that boy to me, but a boy posing as someone with a nefarious, and I know this hasn't happened, but for my children, it hurts the thought of them going through that. Biological females have been second place to biological males for years. Do biological females not have the same right to comfortable access to the restroom as transgender students? I'm concerned that we're telling them to just get over it if they're uncomfortable, and that the boundaries that they have made for themselves are not important. Is this negating everything we have taught them about consent? What I've taught my boys, what I've taught my girl? Are we invalidating their rights for privacy, comfort, and personal convictions, including religious convictions for some of us, which are also protected under Title IX? My biggest concern, our junior high and middle schools are consistently experiencing problem behaviors in the restrooms. Administration has been unable to keep this from happening, and I have a senior, so it happened then. My known 9th grade son intentionally does not use the restroom at school unless absolutely necessary, because in his words, I don't want any part of that mess and being caught in there when someone is doing something irresponsible. My son, so help me, will be respectful, and he will not use the girls' restroom as a prank. It is only a matter of time until there's a TikTok challenge again, to try to use the opposite bathroom or locker room with the claim of being non-binary or transgender.
Julie, I'm sorry, but we're at 3 minutes. Thanks.
And video what happens.
Thank you. Dr. Ryan Smith.
Hello, my goal in speaking this evening is to respectfully address the possible need to press pause on even seemingly small decisions or policies or procedures like those currently under consideration, based on the effects that they have on our trans-identifying or gender non-conforming students. To our LGBTQIA+ community, please hear this. We acknowledge your hurt and your feelings and respect you as people made in the image of God. And it is because of that I draw our attention to the fact that recent independent social and medical studies conducted at the highest levels of research are finding that a concerning number of students who profess transgender identities have experienced unaddressed physical or sexual abuse, are on the autism spectrum, or simply do not conform to the rigorous gender stereotypes placed on them as they undergo the stages of identity formation common to all adolescents. According to recent guide offered to K through 12 schools by the ACLU, a girl who likes sports or a boy who enjoys dance rather than being celebrated for showing the diversity within their gender should be considered, quote, a person whose behaviors or gender transition falls outside what is generally considered typical for their assigned sex at birth and should be encouraged to identify as transgender or gender nonconforming. Yet according to the Williams Institute at the UCLA School of Law, people who identify as transgender are 10 times more likely to commit suicide than the average person. After completing transition surgery, this number rises to 19 times more likely. Youth who begin hormone therapy are at an increased risk for heart disease, strokes, diabetes, cancers, and left with life-altering physical deformities, sterilization, and escalating states of depression. This despite the fact that according to the studies of psychiatrists, researchers, and even a distinguished professor of psychiatry at Johns Hopkins University, 85 to 90% of all children or youth who identify as transgender will ultimately end up identifying with their birth sex if natural biological processes are allowed to continue through puberty. Consider the groundswell of stories emerging from the de-trans movement. These students were encouraged down similar roads and are now crying out for litigation against the entities who enabled their transition process, questioning where the adults in their lives were who were supposed to help and protect them as they navigated their teenage years. The future will hold us accountable for the paths down which we lead. And that's the end of my time, but I come bearing gifts for each of our school board members, copies of Abigail Schreier's Irreversible Damage, that you may further consider these truths.
You can just sit right. Tina Smith. Is Tina here?
She's coming.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Tina Smith. I live in Perkins and I work in Stillwater. I'm a taxpayer here to express my concern and disapproval allowing a biological male student to share a bathroom or locker room with a biological female student or vice versa. School is an experience that is unique to each individual, and I was an awkward student with no or very few friends. As a young woman figuring out how to deal with my cycle, the cramps, spotting, heavy days when more than one sanitary napkin was required, bleeding through my clothes, there was more than enough pressure for my peers without adding a boy to the bathroom or locker room experience. I am sure many women here could add to the list of challenges young women and girls face on a daily basis involving their natural body functions. A person who is born as a biological male and still possesses their original genitalia should not be in a girl's or woman's space. He will not deal with having a period, and there is no justifiable reason to allow him to share private female spaces. I don't have children, but if I did, they would not attend your schools. You are not protecting female students. Shame on you.
Steve Schroeder.
Good evening, and thank you for taking the time to listen to the opinions of not only myself, but those in the community. We all care greatly about all kids in Stillwater Public Schools. While I don't normally speak publicly to political and social, religious matters with regard to the education of my children, I feel that standing by and watching what's transpiring here would be a great disservice to my family and the community. While I don't claim to speak for everyone, certainly I don't, I know the views I am expressing this evening are shared by many. I'm of the opinion that we have reached a crossroads of sorts with regard to where and on what terms our children will receive a safe, reliable education. While Stillwater hasn't always been my home, it's the place that my wife and I made a decision 3 years ago to raise our children based largely on the school system that I thought proudly led, guided by a strong moral compass. But now I'm afraid that assertion may have been wrong. The foundation of the most important factor that brought us here, the school system, has been shaken tremendously by decisions of both this board and the community to appeal and conform to the extreme minority at the expense of the extreme majority. At what point did this board decide to concede common sense? How is there so much confusion among so many apparently well-educated adults about one of the simplest biological truths? The decisions you make or already have made are bigger than simple identity and bathroom usage. Its implications are more far-reaching than we can perceive at this moment. It's a true crossroads of how this community will stand up and be a light in darkness, or how we will conform and fall victim to the abyss that is now political and societal correctness. The adage, what's right isn't always popular, and what's popular isn't always right, has never been truer than at this moment right now. As a school board, are you sheep or are you shepherds? Are you followers or are you leaders? Do you truly want to stand up and do what's actually right, or are you going to continue? We have an obligation to look past the simple financial implications of this decision, because there are some. We have an obligation to our children to share our wisdom of right and wrong, moral and immoral, and doing what's right and moral must take precedent, even at the expense of financial gain. How we as a community and you as the elected school board representatives choose to act in response to this appeal of social wokeness will have a lasting impact not only on the community, but also on the almost 6,000 students that depend on us to help propel them into the world as community leaders for future generations. Are we encouraging our kids to fall in line and forcing them to conform to this social wokeness despite absurdities, or are we creating leaders who will be able to identify and call out issues that conflict with our core values and common sense and what it means to base decisions on God-granted biological evidence and fundamental truth? Most importantly, if your grandparents were sitting by you today, how would they see your opinions and your judgment? Common sense used to be a real thing. I know how my grandparents would have decided, and they wouldn't have been conflicted at all. Common sense and a strong...
Mr. Schroeder, your time's up. Thank you. Thank you. Megan Schroeder, would you like to speak? Okay. All right. Next, Sally Turner. Okay.
Members of the board, thank you for hearing me speak today, and thank you to everyone who's here to support our students. It's great that we are so engaged. Fear is a natural response to something we don't understand, and the best way to deal with fear is with education and information. Knowledge is the enemy of fear. When a child is afraid of thunder, we explain that it's part of nature and it's not going to hurt them. And when a child is confused about someone who looks or behaves differently from them, we should take the opportunity to explain that different is not necessarily bad or scary. Failure or unwillingness to educate a child about something they don't understand doesn't protect them from the perceived dangers about that thing. Instead, it serves to perpetuate fear as the correct response to something unknown and unfamiliar. Unchecked, fear can lead to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. Students suffer when their needs are not met. Sitting in class while experiencing hunger, thirst, sleep deprivation, pain, physical discomfort, cold, fear, shame, or anger is something that many students in Stillwater and across the country experience on a daily basis, and is contrary to a positive learning environment. These experiences are loud distractions that prevent students from engaging with their teachers and peers on a meaningful level. Creating rules to make sure trans students are unable to safely use the restroom is the epitome of distraction, and only serves to create an environment to set these students up for failure. I want to live in a community where all students thrive and succeed, because that reflects well on the rest of us. Communities with school systems with high success rates are more inviting to new businesses and companies looking to move or expand, because high-achieving school systems are important to draw employees with families to a new city. Stillwater will not continue to grow unless we are willing to be welcoming and accepting of all students and families and make room for them in our community. Students who are educated and informed on the nuances of gender identity and sexuality, and who feel safe discussing these things, are more likely to be comfortable in their own gender identity, have good mental health, have a more diverse group of friends, succeed in academics, think critically, and become upstanding citizens in their community and beyond. Allowing students to use a restroom that corresponds with their gender identity is not opening the door to disaster. Rather, it is ensuring that every person in the community is welcomed, cared for, and seen. Assault and harassment are illegal actions and must be dealt with accordingly. But preventing these actions can start at home. If you want to protect your daughters, teach your sons to respect everyone, regardless of their differences, and to keep their hands and their other body parts to themselves. I applaud the Stillwater Public Schools Board and Superintendent Washington for upholding this fair and right bathroom policy and for supporting all students.
Delicia Timmons, if I said that correctly.
It's Delicia, but that's okay. Everybody says wrong. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. And I usually don't speak in front of people, so it's a little weird for me, but I have a 13-year-old daughter. She's here, but didn't want to stand up here, which I understand. I do understand that we want to keep all of our children safe, and I want to speak from her perspective as a 13-year-old at the middle school and not going to the bathroom all day because she doesn't feel safe. And that's not from hating anyone. Like, we don't hate the other kids. She just doesn't feel safe and doesn't feel that, I guess, her privacy is protected. The bathrooms at the middle school they have 4 minutes in between classes. So I understand, I told her that there is a single bathroom that she can use if she feels unsafe or that her privacy isn't protected, but she has 4 minutes in between classes, and she is an excellent student and doesn't want to be counted tardy or miss class, anything like that. So she has made the choice to just not go to the bathroom while she's there. I'm concerned as a mother and her health due to her changing body and toxic shock syndrome, if you've heard of that. If you're on your period and you have a tampon in too long, a pad on too long, you're at risk for that for more than 4 hours. And we know they're at school more than 4 hours. So I am concerned about her safety in those regards as well. So I just ask that you consider writing a policy. I know Governor Stitt wrote a policy that you can't change your birth certificate from what you were born, and it's not legal to ask people their gender identity and things like that. Safety concerns, I don't know. So my suggestion, because I know on your board policy it says for suggestions to fix the problem, so I was just trying to brainstorm about how we don't make everyone feel uncomfortable, is we just go by, other than building single bathrooms for every student that we have, which I think is probably not plausible at this time and very long term, but going by to the bathroom that you're assigned to at birth. So that's my suggestion. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Michael Bauman.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the board for allowing me to speak. And I think I speak for everybody that a constructive and respectful dialogue is what we need in a community to make it to thrive, to make it to grow, and to make it to prosper. And I think even though we're talking about middle school and high school policies, there are a few minority, a small percentage of people that are speaking that they're like their high schoolers or middle schoolers. And that is something that deconstructs the community. We do not need hateful dialogue in here. And I think that some of the board staff have been victim to that. I have been victim to that. I do not hate trans people just as much as that board staff member is not the devil incarnate. However, we just need constructive dialogue to fix the community. And I think that a deconstructive dialogue damages it. And again, I'm saying I'm not hateful towards trans people, but we need concrete solutions to fix the problem. And I think a majority of us, and I've been talking to my friends on the Conservative Party, and they are in favor of unisex, not single stalls, but a majority, like 1, 2, 3, 4 stall restrooms. And I think that is a concrete and simple solution that benefits all parties. So if you're on social media, and I know many of them are not here, that subscribe to hateful dialogue, calling another school board member the devil incarnate, calling me hateful of trans kids, that is unacceptable. But if you are not here, you need to think about what you post, because that is deconstructive. That it was destroys the community of Stillwater. And having a community that I want to even adopt somebody, maybe even a daughter, I want to be a part of the change that happens here, because hearing all the young people speak, the young people are the future. The young people are what is presenting a respectful dialogue. So I am proud of the young generation. So with all that being said, please just be respectful. And I think that we can all come up with a solution that really benefits all parties. Thank you.
Thank you. Ed Gallegos.
Don't get more than 36
Yeah,
seconds.
and they're going to start over.
Just for you.
Kind of got that last time. Okay. So, Dr. Washington, thank you for your email on March 31st clarifying that it has supposedly been the policy of Stillwater schools to allow biological males identifying as female to use the female restroom facilities. This awareness has greatly increased the knowledge and decreased the ignorance of Stillwater parents, as virtually none of the parents and very few of the teachers were aware of this policy and is not discernible from reading the policy revisions. It has also increased the knowledge of several board members as they claim to have no prior knowledge of biological males in the female bathrooms until my March 1st email to the board. Since we don't have time in this forum to address all the legal contradictions in the March 31st email, we have created a website called stillwaterparents.com to help bring about awareness of the policies and practices in Stillwater Public Schools. Regarding the items that were not addressed in your emails, could you please provide further clarification on the following 3 items? First, in your email, you acknowledge that the change in policy came at the behest of the Civil Rights of the Office of Civil Rights in 2015 during the Obama administration. Can you please clarify why the policy in Stillwater was not reversed when the Office of Civil Rights rescinded its guidance regarding Title IX in 2017? Second, your email cited the Doe versus Boyerton decision. In this decision, it explicitly states that the district required the student claiming to be transgender to meet with counselors that were trained and licensed to address these issues, and the counselors often consulted with additional counselors, principals, and school board administrators prior to allowing someone to use the bathroom facilities of the opposite biological sex. By what policy metric does Stillwater determine gender identity? Can a male identify as female as he is walking into the bathroom, or is there a certain time frame he must have identified prior to admission to the female bathroom? Or is it maintaining a certain dress code for a set period of time, or perhaps a hormone level that the school is tracking? Last, you've stated that Stillwater uses expert legal counsel, and we know that Stillwater uses Rosenstein, Fist, and Ringo out of Tulsa, who consults for most of the districts in the state. However, not all the school districts that consult with Rosenstein had the same policy as of March 22. Can you please provide the written advice from Rosenstein that explicitly states that schools must allow biologic males identifying as female access to the female restroom facilities? I realize that you are only the interim superintendent and you're not responsible for this mess, so it may take time to gather this information, but surely the changes of this magnitude are detailed in the board and administrative meeting records. Thank you.